rhythm of creation is the harmony of humanity. And where there is harmony, there is peace.
Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, here we go. We are back live. This is Friday Night Live. And let me turn this down. Sorry about that. Welcome. This is episode number 4 of our Friday Night Live DMT sesh. We are live right here, right now, Friday night, 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. How's everyone doing? Finally got my chat working here on the screen so I can see everybody's chat. I don't have to see it on the phone, although I have it on right here. But I don't really need it on. It just shows me how many people are watching. So welcome. This is our live DMT sesh. We will be talking about DMT tonight. What are we going to do tonight? We're going to make a vape cart. I'm going to show you how to make a vape cart. I am going to talk about the DMT breakthrough and things associated with it. And then I will actually do a breakthrough tonight. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. So let me pull up my notes, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. It's been a long week and it is late, so I have to remind myself. Well, here we go. I'm going to grab me a drink. Nice ice cold water from the Rocky Mountains. Well, let's get into some story time tonight. Let's start off tonight with some story time, shall we? This is a really fun one for me because it was just very memorable and it's one of my favorite trips. It was maybe about a 6, 8 months into smoking DMT. I had mostly been doing closed eye breakthroughs for the first 6 months or so. That's all I knew because that's all we were told, right? Well, after a while, I began to be impressed upon 3 of us that were in this journey together to like that there was more than the closed eye breakthroughs. So we started being led into these open eye sessions. So early on into my open eye sessions, one evening while it was still light outside, me and my girlfriend went out onto the deck of our house overlooking the mountainside. We lived at the top of a mountain then, and so our deck just looked over the mountain down into the township down there, just aspen forest, you know. And so we're sitting on the side of the deck over there, and I've got my speaker out and I've got my pen and I'm hitting it. I start hitting it, you know, and every minute or so I hit it again and just kind of creeping my way in. And my dog, who is now deceased, rest his soul, a beautiful guy, Netherland, he was in the front yard or something. He was nowhere around us at the time. Well, it was like I took one big hit and I was already in pretty good, so I took one big hit and uh and then held it. And I mean, like the sky got black, the wind started whipping back and forth, and it went crazy outside. Everything was just going bananas. And right at that time, I'm sitting, I'm just kind of mesmerized, looking straight out at the view, and I feel this vibration and a heavy rumbling coming. But I didn't even turn my head because I was just locked. And it sounded like it could have been a bear or a horse, who knows? Well, it was my dog. He had come running from the front yard around the side, down the side deck, as fast as he could, and got right to the railing overlooking the overlook, right where I was looking. His hair was standing straight up on his body, and he just was like, "Arr, arr, arr," looking over the side of the deck. And I just had this big smile on my face, and I looked at my girlfriend because she's trying to figure out what's going on. And I said, he knows. He sees them. Look, he sees them. And he's just over there because right about that time, there was all kinds of stuff happening out in the yard over there. But the main thing that was catching my focus was this tree that's like a few feet off of the deck, just like right out where I was, a tree, maybe 3 feet off the deck. Well, that tree, it was an aspen. It leaned over the deck this way, coming toward me. It just leaned right on over and like was wiggling its branches right here. And it was talking to me telepathically. I can't even remember what it was saying. I don't even know if I knew at the time what it was saying. It was all so incredible. And meanwhile, my dog's just barking and growling at it. And and that was like my first instance of realizing that me smoking the DMT had some effect in the material world, and even animals can sense it. So what I did is I let this trip, I let it kind of settle down a little bit, maybe rode it out for 3 or 4 minutes. He calmed down and went back around the front yard. I think the other dog, the neighbor's dog, was up there, so he was playing around with the neighbor's dog. So he went around back to the front. So I told my girlfriend, I said, well, Ned is not here anymore. So let's do a little experiment and make sure that just wasn't coincidence. So I took my pen and I just ripped another big old fat one. Held it in. He comes again. Did the exact same thing all over again. It was incredible. And that was my Netherland port sesh, which I call it. My dog's name was Netherland. And that's when I learned a lot that day. I learned that this trip actually affects my dog. Well, as you've seen in last week's episode, my trip still affects my new dog in the same way. And it's crazy because that means It's beyond just in our mind. We're actually changing something. I think it's frequencies. I think, pardon me, I think the whole DMT trip, I think what this does is actually, this is like a tuning knob on your radio. And by smoking this, you're tuning your brain to different frequencies. And I think those frequencies, some of those channels are the ones that the animals are on, because it's been at least 3 dogs that I know of that react in the same way when I smoke DMT around them. So, yeah, that's an incredible story for me and might not be as interesting for you, but it just blew my mind. And really, this is like, people want evidence, people want something tangible. You know, is this real? Is it just all in your imagination? Well, was it in my imagination that my dog, as soon as I took a hit and went into a certain level, he come running around growling and looking at the same entities I was looking at? It's obviously not, man. That was just the first of many trips afterwards where my dog, uh, you know, tripped with me. Because every time I would trip, he would be doing it. There was times, one time I went outside and tripped looking at the sun standing by the railing, and I went in pretty deep, and the whole place turned magical. Next thing I know, my dog came up to me. He wasn't there. He came, found me, put his head right between my legs, like facing forward with his back out. And I walked back in the house, and he had his head stuck right in there, like I was a horse, or he was a horse, and I was riding him. But obviously, I wasn't riding him. But I think that's what he felt like he was a royal horse or something. And you should see how these animals look when you're tripping. They change into magical creatures. Like they look like a dog, but it's like a dog mixed with a panther, mixed with a bear, mixed with some fuzzy thing. Their fur gets super thick. I mean, if you have a dog with fur this long, that fur gets this long, and it turns purple and red and yellow, and like hints of rainbowish colors are coming out of its glistening coat. It's incredible. So that's story time tonight. Trip with your dogs, your animals. Look at them. Let them be a part of it because they enjoy it. The first couple times it might freak them out, like it did my dog Ned. But after a few times, he didn't do that anymore, and he just ended up participating in my trips until the day he died. And now my new dog does the same thing. I see you there, Mile High. What's up, brother? Appreciate you coming. Nice meeting you earlier. I got my pen right here. Got it all hooked up. Just got regular weed and that. But stay around and just chill with me and watch me smoke some DMT here in a little bit and learn a little bit. So thanks for coming. All right. Well, last week I showed you a video, and because of my fumbling self, I accidentally hit the mute button unawares. So that whole video played with no sound. So I am going to replay that video for you right now. So let me pull this up. It's only just 6.5 minutes. So no big deal. So I'm going to share my screen here. So you should be, nope, sorry. Yeah, you're seeing me. Okay, good. We're on my screen share. So let me play this video for you. Our sound is working. I just checked. And the reason I want to play this video is very important to me. You know, psychedelics are not just some party drug. Despite what we've been told, let me put my camera on with it. Let me double check. That way you can see me because I'm very expressive with my hands and stuff. So yeah, you can see me. So, so psychedelics are not just this escape and a getaway and a party drug. Yes, they are those things, right? It's people have been using it for decades since it was invented, acid and mushrooms for however long, you know. But psychedelics now in this awakening, we're in the awakening now. We're in the spiritual psychedelic awakening. And we're being shown that there's much more to psychedelics than just the party aspect and the having the good trips and the crazy visions and stuff. It's about actually changing us and changing who we are. It's about connecting to source, to God, or whatever you call it, and finding out who we are. We're a sick society. Look around you. The Everybody nearly takes some type of psychotropic medicine for anxiety and depression or some type of mental sickness. And there's other than mental sicknesses, you have addictions like alcohol and drug abuse and sex addictions and all these things. And the world is just diseased right now with this stuff. And psychedelics are here to say there's an answer, there's hope. If you're trapped in these conditions, there's hope. And I mean, it doesn't take years and years and years of struggle to get out of it. One DMT session can change your life forever. And this is what it does. So I want you to hear this lady's testimony. She was a veteran, and I'll let her speak for herself here.
About a year ago, I got out of the military after a decade of service. After a really difficult deployment, I ended up on a 5150 hold for like suicidal ideation, and my life had really kind of been spiraling out of control for a while. And, you know, after this hold, I went through outpatient, I started going through therapy, and I've pretty much just spent the last year in like a self-imposed isolation, trying to really reshape my life and come back from the depths of like the hell I was living in. And October of 2023, when I decided to join the Church of Ambrosia, you know, it's kind of like a bit of an enigma, living in Alameda and being in the military. People are like, oh, there's like a mushroom church or whatever. And so I'd always said, like, oh, if I get out, I'm gonna check that out. I had not been anticipating like finding DMT there. I just thought it was like a mushroom church. That's what everyone always calls it. So when I saw it there, I was like, I have to get it. Like, I don't know if I'll ever have this opportunity again. I started microdosing DMT probably like once every 2 weeks. And like when I say the difference that it has made in my life has been absolutely profound. I like don't know if there are words to truly describe that level of profoundness. I hadn't even realized it, but I had lost my internal monologue. I like couldn't hear myself in my head other than like what I know now to be, you know, my nervous system constantly like chatting away and filling me with like anxieties and fears. And I didn't really have like a sense of self that was guiding me until I was meditating a couple of days after my first DMT microdose. And then like all of a sudden I could hear my own voice in my head for the first time in years, and it was like meeting an old friend. I had forgotten that was what being guided by self was. And then, you know, from that moment, I had been having more profound experiences as my time, like microdosing, continued. And my life changed profoundly on January 3rd of this year. I had been doing a lot of meditation, and I had been continuing the microdosing, but on this day, like, I woke up, I did a meditation, I microdosed, and I laid on the floor, and in my head, like, the image was so crystal clear of just what I know now to be like sacred geometry. And that turned into like an overlay of another image on top of what I can only describe now as being like almost what looked like a womb. And in retrospect, I perceive this as being the moment I saw myself in the astral womb, because later that night, like, I had the experience of my soul being reborn. And when I say, like, I've been searching for something like my whole life, like nothing has ever resonated. I've never been a believer in any sense, you know, extremely skeptical. It was as if like whatever was out there was like, now's the time. It's like, it's time for you to know. It felt like my soul was given back to me. Later that night, after I was like sober and whatever, I was just brushing my teeth, looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden it was like I recognized myself for the first time since I was like a teenager, and I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm here and I see who I am, and I've become like exactly who I'm supposed to be, even though it was like so hard. And I can like finally find like a reason to live. My life has been really crazy since then, going from having like, you know, severe like mental health issues like throughout my life, and then compounding that with the military. It's wild for me to not have a backdrop of like suicidal ideation or negativity or sadness as like the lens of my reality. I feel like I've completely like stepped into a new reality. Like, I'm hearing people differently. I hear them as who they truly are, and not as this like lens of judgment I placed over them. It has shown me like the path for my life and what I need to do, and shown me that there is like more to all of this. And it's not just like consume and show up till you die, you know?
Heck yeah, that is amazing. I could watch her testimony over and over again because it's just that captivating. And it's true because it's the same for me, you know. It's different. I have different story, but it's still the same when you boil it down to it. I was just on a search for spiritual truth, for peace with God, you know, after having been through all the religious circles and the different denominations and all this my entire life trying to find peace with God. I was able to finally find it in psychedelics. I actually had peace with God before I tried psychedelics. I'm not going to say that. I found peace in God, with God, actually, while I was in jail for growing weed. And that's when I really found true peace with God for the first time. But the psychedelics has given me that insight and understanding and direction that I needed for my life. And to hear people just share their stories about what psychedelics have done, that's going to change the perception of what we have as society towards psychedelics. So, yeah, I think it's important we honor testimonies like that. And Mile High asked during the presentation there, what amount would be considered a microdose? And I answered, maybe a hit. It's probably different for everybody. Like sometimes I do what I call microdose at night. I'll just take my single one. This is the double barrel. It has two pins in it. but I take my single one and just rip like a 2 or 3 second hit, and maybe in the morning or at night, and that's a microdose. It's not even enough to trip. You'll just feel a little bit of the vibes. Your head will feel a little more focused, and you'll know you hit it, but not much is gonna happen. And that's a good microdose, and that's all you need. Honestly, it's gonna start sparking that pineal gland. It's gonna fire up, and you can microdose every day. She was doing it, she said, once every 2 weeks. See, it doesn't take a whole lot, but it just depends on what you're looking for. So let me get back over here to my notes. All righty, let's go into how to make a vape cart. It's going to be a lot easier for me to show you through video than for me to actually sit here and do it right here. I've already got the video made that shows how to do this, so I'm going to pull it up real quick here.
All right, today we're going to be learning how to make a vape cart with the DMT we made fresh in our own home.
Oops.
So here is everything you're going to need. I'll go through it. You will need two ingredients. You will need propylene glycol. You can get this off of Amazon, or just go online, you'll find it. You need a bottle of it. Even a lot of vape stores that carry this. This is the typical ingredient that dilutes your DMT, or it's used in nicotine vapes, it's used in weed vapes and all that stuff. It's like a food grade product that helps suspend the product and run it through the vape pen easier. So you're going to need some of that. And then you're going to need your DMT that we made. How pretty that is. That's the Snow Tech method. Snow White. And then you're going to need your milligram scale. You're going to need a little dropper. That's to get the propylene glycol out of there. You're going to need a syringe. And the tip of it, the hole, I'll bring it closer. If you can see, it's a little bit bigger of a hole. The hole's got to be big enough in order to get the vape, the thickness and the viscosity of the vape mixed with the DMT through it. I will get a size for you on that in a minute. You will need a little dab tool. You will need an ear swab. This is used as a filter. You'll of course need an empty vape cartridge. This is a 1/2 gram. I've learned that the full gram cartridges just tend to have problems toward the end, the last 1/4 of a gram or so, because it could be a while before you go through a full vape cartridge. So 1/2 gram, it just seems to last better that way. So that's what I've learned. And then you need a little container. This is glass. You want it to be glass. I can't even remember where I got this. This has a little rubber lid, and this is used to stir it. But a little glass container, a little shot glass, something. The smaller the better, because we're only doing a small amount. We're only making 1/2 gram total, enough to fit in this cart. So you want it to be small enough in its cylindrical size and diameter, so where you're not trying to suck the stuff off a big flat surface. You want it to be able to run into a corner and suck it out. So the smaller the jar, the better. I'm assuming the bottom of a shot glass will work. You need a heat source, or you can do this over a period of time. If you have no source of heat, you do not need a heat source, but having a heat source just makes it a lot quicker. I'll explain how to do it without a heat source as well. You can use the same hot plate that you use to recrystallize your DMT. If you want to do that, you would just turn this on as low as possible. We only want about 140 degrees. So we don't need this to get super hot. You're not trying to boil your stuff. You're just trying to heat it a little bit to melt it. So you put it right there in the middle for the heating part of it. But for me, since I already have a nug smasher, which is used to compress weed and get the rosin out of it to make, live rosin, I just set it to 140 degrees, and now these hot plates are at 140. See, it's not even burning me, it's hot. And then I'll just put my container in here and let the heat transfer in there. In fact, I'll get the heat in there, that way. So here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to measure out. Now, we're using a 0.5 gram cart, so let's talk about strength. Well, typically, like if you go with the full gram cart, they typically tell you to put 0.5 gram of DMT in it. So if you go with a 0.5 gram cart, that would be 1/4 gram of DMT, right? Well, I like my carts a little stronger, so I'm going to go with 0.4 grams of DMT in it, which would equivalent to 0.8 grams in a full gram cart, because I just like that strength. I don't like to have to hit it for 15 seconds or whatever in order to get what I'm looking for. I like to be able to do shorter hits and go where I want. If you're a beginner, you can make it thinner if you want. But don't go above 0.4. Don't go, even though it can handle 0.5, it tends to clog the filter up in your vape cart, and you'll have problems. So I found at 0.4 it still flows freely, but you get a good strength. So I'm going to measure out 0.4. I go a little over, I'm fine with that. So there we go. You may hear my dog barking in the background. Don't worry about that. He's a good guard dog. Okay, now I'm going to suck up about 1/4 ml of propylene glycol. So I suck up like a full thing worth, but 1/4 is right here at this lowest mark. So I'm going to squeeze it out till it gets to that mark. Now I know I've got 1/4 ml in there. So I'm going to squeeze that into here. There we go. So now we just put our propylene glycol. It's a little bit, as you see, it doesn't take a whole lot. I can turn this off now and close that and get that out of the way. So I'm going to take my dab tool and stir it, and you'll notice it'll cake up in there. It'll get, it'll turn into a little goo in there. So that's all you're looking for. You just want to kind of stir it a little bit, and then take and set that on your hot plate. Now remember, if this is hot, you would just put it right here. Here, I put it on my thing. I'll crank this up just almost till it touches the top, so the heat from the top can go into there easier. And I'll just let it sit for a minute. And while the cameraman's showing you that, I'm going to grab a syringe and tell you what size they are, because I cannot remember off the top of my head. Should have had it ready, but that's how life goes. You don't sweat the small stuff, folks. I had bought these syringe filters at one point. Don't ever do it. They're a waste of money. A Q-tip works 1,000 times better. Here's my syringes. Where's the needles? Here they are. These are the perfect buckets for storing stuff in, these little Coffee Mate buckets. Okay, so what we got here, 14 gauge by 1.5 inch Easy Glide blunt needle. Excuse me. So 14 gauge is the size you are going for. These work perfect. The holes are nice and big. I had bought a set of needles at one time that were way too small, and they were literally worthless. It would not suck the material through it. So you want 14 gauge or bigger, but there's no reason to go bigger. 14 gauge works okay. Okay, now this has been sitting in here for a few minutes, and as you can see, it's now just like a liquid. I'm going to stir it. And as long as it's liquidy and clear like it is, that's good enough. You don't have to get it any more than this. That's why using this heat works so good, because it's very quick. So I'm going to set this back up on here for a minute while we get our cart ready. Now you want to get your cart ready. It'll come with a rubber cap on it. Just take that off. And now it's got a rubber on the bottom. Leave that on there. And fortunately, this thing has a little hole in the middle, this little rubber part, so I just stick it in here and it holds it just fine. But you'll want to support this because it'll kind of be wobbly, especially if you don't have a rubber cap on it. So I want to take and unscrew this now and just set this cap aside. And I'm going to set this in here for right now. Now I'm going to get my syringe and get it ready, and you want to have the needle depressed because we're going to be sucking in. I'm getting a lot of resistance there. Let me make sure everything's okay. Yeah, probably just had a little clog in it, some little stuck DMT there. Oh no, I broke it. Look, the rubber came off, huh? So let's make a new one. See, this is a good time for this to happen right here in the teaching moment. No big deal. These things come in like packs of 10 or whatever, so you always have extras on hand. When you get down to 2 or 3, just order another pack. They don't cost that much. You get them right on Amazon. So let me open this needle up. Not too shabby. And there we go. A brand new needle for this demonstration. Throw that away. Okay. So have your needle ready and depress, because we're going to be sucking in to the chamber here. So you're going to want to take your DMT. This is what it looks like now. It has a yellow tint. That's just how it works. We're going to stick this in here right in the very bottomish corner of your container, however it is, get in the lowest bottom corner, and just slowly suck in and kind of adjust to the very middle, and you can get about every last drop. And the hotter this is, the easier, because it's thinner. So I'm going to set that back up in there to keep whatever little bits left in there thinning. So now you're going to want to hold this upright. Take this needle and unscrew it. And while holding this in your hand, because there's DMT in there, take this needle and we're going to make a filter now. So you're going to rip off a little chunk of this Q-tip, just like this. That's probably about a little too much. I'm going to get rid of some of it. Get off of there. So I got a piece like this. And we're just going to tuck it. It shouldn't be so much it completely compacts and shuts this off, but enough that it's going to filter the juice that flows through it. You want to just get it and then use your dab tool to just gently push it in there. And now you screw this back on the syringe. And now when I squeeze this out, the DMT is going to go through that filter. And yes, it'll take a little bit more pressure, and thanks to Minty Love for this suggestion, because this is where I found this. So I'm going to stick the syringe. This size works so good because it actually fits in the vape cart. And just gently begin to press the syringe. Don't get in a hurry because it's thick. It'll start to come out, and just keep pressing. Just slowly press. No hurry. Be patient. See it. Oh, wow. Look at it coming out. And there it is. All of it's out. When you hear it push all the way. Now there could be a little left in the syringe, so I can just gently lift this up. But with that Q-tip in there, it creates suction now. See, there's a little room left in there. We're going to check this jar to see if there's perchance any left in it. Let me take this filter out real quick because this will be in our way. You just dig it out with the dab tool. And that's actually very clean. There's nothing on there. That means we made pure stuff. Good job, us. See if there's any that remained in here. There's less than a drop. I'm going to suck out what I can. I'll go ahead and turn my machine off and set that aside. Now I'm going to squeeze any little bit. A little drop, maybe 2 drops may have came out. So now what we're going to do is just take a little bit of propylene glycol. You only need a little drop or 2 in there. And we're just going to squirt this in until it's full. Usually it takes very little. There we go. Just a drop or 2. And you don't want it to be over full, because now when we screw this cap on, it pushes down just a touch into the surface of this. So you want it to be just below the surface, like it is. We will now screw the cap on. Not too tight, but good and snug. And there we go. And we'll just roll it around, let that new propylene glycol kind of mix in with the other stuff so it distributes and kind of makes it all the same. You want it to be thick enough where that bubble doesn't move too quick, but thin enough where the bubble does move. If the bubble doesn't move at all, it's too thick or it's way too cold where you're at. You might want to heat this up a little bit. But there we go. And now that it's in the cart, you want it to sit for about 20 or 30 minutes before you use it, because you want it to leach into that filter, that cloth filter or whatever cotton that's in there, and give it time. Because if you were to hit it right now, it would still be dry on the inside, and you could burn your coil out or make it taste real bitter and stuff. So give it 30 minutes or so. No need to rush it. And when you go to hit it the first time, just remember, the first time you hit a brand new cart, it's going to have maybe a little bitterness to the taste for them first hit or 2. Like I'm saying, just a 1 second hit. You want to give it a couple 1 second hits just to prime it and get that bitterness out of the way, and then it'll be smooth after that. All right, well, there you go. That's a 1/2 gram cart of the Snow Tech. Beautiful, ready to send someone to another dimension and back. All right, takedmt.com.
Alrighty. Let me get back over here. Alright. So that is how you make yourself a vape cart, which is very important if you want to vape DMT. Vaping DMT is just the ultimate way to do it. For me, I mean, you may have a better way. I mean, freebasing it is good. Believe me, freebasing is the purest way to do it, but it's work. Every time you want to take a hit, you got to load up your bong and, blow the torch and stuff. So it's not really meant for just repetitive use, whereas a cart is just so convenient. And this Hamilton device is just the way to smoke a cart. Let's see, we got a question up here. Does it ever recrystallize in the propylene glycol? It can. I've had carts that got crystally again in the vape cart. Now they weren't ones that I made. They were ones that I had gotten from other people. Mine haven't. As you can see, in fact, I'll bring this up to the camera. This is probably 2 months old. That's why it's so dark. It started off almost perfectly clear, but it oxidizes with time. But yet there is no crystals in it. But I have seen them recrystallize in the vape cart. But with my method, I don't think it's too much of an issue. So yeah, and another thing is the stronger you make your cart, the more DMT you put in, the less propylene glycol you have to put in. I like being as pure as possible, the less propylene glycol, the better. That's one of the reasons I don't use them RDA tanks, because it's like 3/4 vape juice and 1/4 DMT, and that's just too much vape juice for me. I'm not trying to do that. But this is about as pure as you can get and have a card at the same time. So, yeah, this is about, these are probably at about a 70% in this cart right here. I probably didn't make these 80. I I was making them 80, but they would still tend to clog up. So I kind of bumped back down to about 70% DMT, and that seems to be the sweet spot. So where it always flows every time, you don't have to worry about it, goofing up on you and whatnot. Alrighty, let me come over here real quick. Um, so now this is my time. If you want to ask me anything, there's a couple people watching. That's cool. I appreciate everybody that's on here watching right now, Mile High and whoever else is here. If you have any questions, now is a good time to ask me. I'll get your comments right here on the chat and we'll go over it. So I'll give you a minute to type in something. If you got something, ask me anything about DMT, psychedelics, tripping, anything like that, about me, about whatever you want. I try to give a time, what does it taste like? Oh, that's a good question. That's common too. Well, it tastes, well, my stuff is going to taste different because it's pure. So the purer you get it, the less flavor there is. Mine's about as pure DMT as you can make at home without having like a super high grade lab. And so the flavor is very nice. I love the flavor of it. What is it like? Well, it's been likened to the smell of mothballs, which it does. It has a mothbally smell. It's in that same family of smells. And the taste is just, how do you describe its own unique taste? There's nothing you can say, oh, it tastes like this or it tastes like that, because there's not. It's its own unique flavor, but it's not bad. It's kind of like you would expect, earthy, more of like a spicy. When I say spice, I don't mean hot. I mean like a bark spice, like a cinnamon spice or a real pungent spice. But don't think of it as cinnamon or whatever. But it's that barky, because it comes from the bark of a tree, and you're just literally tasting the bark of the tree, which is pleasant to me. And like I said, I worked long and hard to get my process to where it was pure because of that, the flavor and the jungle spice, the added effects of the jungle spice, which I don't like. I want the pure DMT experience. So yeah, it tastes great. My stuff tastes great. I've had stuff that tastes a lot worse. Like it's real dark and it has a pretty bitter flavor. And if you get it on your tongue and stuff, you'll be tasting it for a while. But it's not a bad taste. Nothing to stop you from smoking. It ain't like eating mushrooms or nothing like that. Uh, I mean, I don't even really taste it anymore. I'm just acclimated to it, I guess. It's more of an acclimation because I don't taste it or hardly smell it anymore. When I smoke it, maybe a little bit, but not too much. All right. Any other questions? one of these days we'll have a big group of people in here, and this thing will get active. This is new, it's going to take time for people to find out about it. So share and spread the word. I want people to be able to actually see what it's like to smoke DMT and to talk and learn about it, break the myths, get all through all the bullshit you see and hear online, yeah, this is online too. But the difference is this is real world experience. This isn't just hearsay. And you can actually watch me smoke and I share what happens. So, you know, and it'll help relieve the fear because tonight I'm going to attempt to break through. I haven't actually sat down to do a breakthrough trip in a while because I've been directed another direction in my journey. I've been directed to these open eye sessions, and it's more of like a school for me. It's like the only way I can put it is in a way I feel like Luke Skywalker and I'm training in as a Jedi or whatever, and the DMT is my instructor. Yeah, you're welcome, brother. I appreciate you coming. It was nice meeting you today, and maybe one day we'll get together here, and maybe you can come smoke with me. If that's something you want to do. So what was I saying? Damn, I don't slip my mind. Anyhow, uh, I had been directed into open eye sessions for a good year. This past year, I've been focusing solely on these open eye sessions. So I don't do many closed eye breakthroughs. I've done a couple along the way, kind of almost on accident, or just because it was like I'd be doing an open eye session. They'd be like, go ahead and throw your head back and close your eyes. And so I would do that. But my last really good open eye breakthrough was on my birthday last year, which was August 26th. So just 1 year ago. My birthday was just this week, or this week, past week. I don't know. Anyhow, yeah, it was this week, Monday, I think. But so I figured I would do another closed eye breakthrough for my birthday area. Last year on my birthday. Thank you. Yeah, I'm 53 now. I know I only look about 20, but I'm 53. And last year on my closed eye breakthrough, it was incredible. It was at my old house, of course, and I just, went into my breakthrough trip. And what happened is they threw me a birthday party. I shit you not. It was so incredible. Of course, it was the DMT world. Everything was moving, and I don't even remember 99% of what I saw. But at one point in time, there was like this table, and it had like a group of beings around the table, and there was like this purple entity. I took it was a woman. I don't know how I could tell, but I think it was a female entity, and it was purple, and it was like a guide in this trip. And there was literally, see my Ask Me Anything banner across there? It was just like that. It said happy birthday in like these super DMT geometry, but in English words. It said happy birthday. And I'm like, oh my goodness, my mind's just being blown. And it's like all this congratulations and stuff. And then right before I came out, just like right before I opened my eyes, is when they told me that we're in the end game and there's nothing to fear. And I knew exactly what they were referring to, that we're at the end of it all. I mean, we are in a unique time in world history, and this is what is the end game. You can see it, you can feel it, and things are changing. You need to go out, buddy? You need to go out, puppy? What is it? You want to go out? Let me let my little buddy out. So yeah, we're at the end of time, I think. I'm not trying to tell you a day or an hour or anything like that, But I feel like, oopsies, I feel like time is dwindling, and that's what they told me. We're at the end game, and there's nothing to fear. And because we don't have anything to fear, it's all taken care of. When you go into that DMT trip, you realize that it's all taken care of. There's nothing to fear. That this world looks so out of control and chaotic, but in reality, we're just where we're supposed to be. And but it's up on you as the individual to take control of your life. You don't have to worry about what this guy's doing and what that guy's doing. You just take care of yourself. Focus on yourself, get your mind right, get your shit together, eat healthier, think healthier, and be a part of the solution in this world. Because one light can shine in the darkness and light up the darkness. It don't take a whole lot of us. I'm going to get my hot water real quick for my tea so I can have it. I'm going to just put on this little screen right here, and I will be right back. Right in, we're back. I got my hot water for my tea here. Got my tea brewing. This is some Bigelow herbal tea, some orange, I think. I like this tea. I was a coffee drinker for my whole life, and I was on an acid trip one Sunday morning, and it was time to would have been that time where I just go make my coffee. I was just coming out on my trip. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning or something. It was an all-nighter. And I'm like, I'm going to go make my coffee. And right then it was just like a voice, or, when you say a voice, it's more like you hear a voice, but you understand what I'm saying. It was just like, you don't need coffee. You just basically you're addicted to it and you drink it too much and you don't need it. And so from that day, it was like I just quit drinking coffee. It was no problem. I had no withdrawals, no shakes, no nothing. It was just so easy. And I replaced it with drinking this herbal tea. I would load my coffee up with cream and sugar and stuff, and just, it was a lot. And I would drink 3 or 4 cups a day of it too. And now I just drink this non caffeinated herbal tea with a little tiny bit of sugar in it, like maybe less than a teaspoon, and it just is better. I can feel the difference in my body. I'm trying to get rid of more sugars. Sugar is not that great for you, and but one step at a time, right? So tonight we're going to do a closed eye breakthrough, and for just a minute or two, a couple minutes, I want to talk about it because the closed eye breakthrough itself is only going to take a couple minutes. So we're in no hurry here. We got another hour, but I'm going to get to it here in just a few minutes. I'll put some music on and we'll get busy. I may actually smoke a few hits first just to get myself ready, kind of get my body ready and my mind ready. And, the closed eye breakthrough is the ultimate DMT experience. It's what everybody's going for. And I mean, there's a reason for it. It's just because it's so incredibly overwhelming and incredible and unexplainable. And those words don't even do it justice. There's no words I could spit out of my mouth to do it justice. So the closed eye breakthrough is a gift. It's our inheritance. DMT and psychedelics are our inheritance altogether, not just the closed eye breakthrough, but the closed eye breakthrough is a gift. And it's like being shot into another dimension. Like you put yourself on one of them human cannonball machines and you just get launched, boom, and you're that quick, you're in another dimension. And it's nothing like this. It has nothing to do with this reality. You're not going to see cups and basically you're not going to see anything that you see in this physical reality. The only thing that may have a resemblance is color. You see color there, but even the colors are so much beyond. There, it's not like, yeah, there is colors you don't have here. There are new colors. It's like new shades and new textures, but it's just like the reds you see, the blues you see, the yellows, whatever. It's absolute perfection. There's no imperfections in it. See, when we look out with our human eyes are susceptible to uh, error and seeing things. We wear glasses, we're nearsighted, short sighted. Plus, just in the real world, everything is full of imperfections. There's nothing perfect. Everything has nicks and scratches and undulations in the surface and divots and everything. Well, in the DMT world, you're not seeing it with your physical eyes, you're seeing it with your third eye, that pineal gland, and that side is perfect. It's not 20/20, it's 1,000/1,000, you know. It's the most absolute perfect vision you could ever have, and everything is absolute perfection in that world. And the profundity of the whole situation is what's incredible. It's because it's absolutely impossible. And you're there and you're just asking yourself, how is this possible? How can this be? We haven't been told about this. We've been lied to about everything about our reality, and we've been hidden. Things have been hidden from us, and DMT and psychedelics have been hidden from us. But the veil is being lifted, and now is the time of the awakening. And here, as you can see, I can sit without fear of retribution or you know, having my door beat down, because in Colorado what I'm doing is perfectly legal. And so the awakening is happening. So the closed eye breakthrough, you know, lasts about, once you go in, mine for me maybe 3-4 minutes. I used to set my stopwatch for a lot of times when I first started doing it, just to time it and see. And I would start it the second I took my first hit, because I would let my stopwatch help me count my seconds of how I was holding it and stuff. So counting the time taking the hits till the time I opened my eyes, it almost was always in the 4 minute range, like 4 minutes 30, almost 5 minutes. So, and it took about a minute to get your hits in. So about 3 minutes is my trip time on a breakthrough. And boy, is it a crazy 3 minutes. Let me let my bubbos in. Hopefully he don't get too riled up when I'm smoking here. That's okay. Go lay down, Bubby. That's a good boy. He's an active little buddy. He's got a tracker on his collar, and it, so if he runs off, we know where to find him. And it also keeps track of his activity and his, you know, his playtime and everything. He is literally, and it ranks all the dogs in this region, but there's hundreds of them. He is literally number one on the leaderboard as the most active dog in all the land. So I have the most active dog in all of this region right here in my house. That's pretty crazy to think about. I've not had a dog like that before, so it's different, but I love him. He is a handful of joy. Alrighty, what time is it? 11:05. All right, let me come over here. I'm going to throw some music on. Let me make sure the volume's turned down a little bit. I had it down too low last week. I'm not going to turn it down that low. I couldn't even hear it on the replay. When I went to listen back, I couldn't even hardly hear it. I want you to be able to hear it. So let's see. Let's get it going. You should be able to hear that. This is called Ether. The album is Elements. I'll turn up just a little bit more for you. If it's too loud, just let me know in the chat. Or if it's not loud enough. I don't want it to be too loud over my voice, you know. But I'm gonna not be talking too much when I'm tripping. Turn it down in my headphones. It's a one-man show here trying to figure all this stuff out. That's all right. We got it. We got it. All right. So like I said, I'm going to take a few warm-up hits and just kind of ride and see how I'm feeling here. And then when I get the green light, I'm going to go ahead and lay back here on this couch. I'll lay my head down that way, I think. Because, yeah, I don't want to be looking dead in that light. I might actually flip that light off and turn on a more distant light so it's not in my eyes. Because there's a light right here in the ceiling and I'm going to be just kind of looking straight up at it. And you know, that's not exactly what you want when you're in a hard DMT trip. What you want to do is just, I want to talk to you a little bit about fear. This is the stage of the game where a lot of people will freak out when it comes to this time, that they're fixing to pick up this pen and hit it. Your hands will be sweating. Your heart will be beating. Your mind will be going crazy with excuses of why you shouldn't be doing this. And believe me, it's a very challenging thing to pick this thing up, especially when you're on your own. You don't have someone else here to kind of hold your hand and encourage you, you know. I was a pioneer at this. I was called to do this, and so I did. And a lot of the times I was here on my own just doing it. There were times I had my brother and my friend here as well, so I wasn't always alone. But a lot of the times I am, and so, you know, fear is a thing. Fear is real. And fear was so real for me. I'll tell you how real it was. I made my first batch in, let's say, I think it was April of this particular year. I think that was 2022, April 2022, 2 years ago, April. And I didn't smoke it for the first time till Thanksgiving, which is November. So that like 6-7 months passed. And every night I had intended to hit this. Some nights I would sit down and literally have it right here. And I would talk myself out of it. I'd be so scared. So I hear you when it comes to fear. I know all about it. And so, but I'm telling you how I overcame it. And the main way I overcame it was just by doing it and realizing it wasn't here to hurt me. It's like I liken it to getting on a roller coaster, you know, and you're a little kid. Well, when you're standing in line and there's that big roller coaster and this shit comes flying by and it's rattling and the wind's hitting you and people are screaming and you're a little kid and you're like, I'm scared to death. I don't know if I want to do this. But yet you want to do it, but you're scared that whole time in line. And you get on it the first time and it's clanking up that big old ramp and your heart's about ready to fall out and you're shitting yourself, but then it does it, and you get around and within a minute it's over, and you come back and now you're at the thing, and what do? You freaking run to the line and get back in it, because now you realize the thing isn't going to kill you, so now you've got a different attitude towards it, and that's the way it is with DMT. Once you get into it and realize it's not going to kill you, and that it loves you, and that it's here for you, and it's your inheritance, what is there to be afraid of? But even saying all of that, it's still overwhelming, and it's very challenging to do, especially a breakthrough. This is, like I said, it's been a minute since I've done a closed eye breakthrough, and I've had to deal with my own ego trying to convince me not to do this today. It doesn't do it in fear anymore. My hands are dry. My heart is. If you took my pulse right now, it's probably 65. I am not nervous at all, but the fears come in other ways for me now. It's more in logical fears. It's more in, just little things like, oh, you're tired, you have a headache, it's been a long day, no one's watching, things like that. And so you just have to, that's the ego. But you also are flesh. You're two people. You're an ego and a spirit, I mean. Your ego, which is your flesh, and then you're the spirit. You have to rise up the spirit and be stronger than the flesh. That's all it is. That's the battle. That's what the Bible and everything talks about. It's that battle that we have, and the battle's inside. It's our mind fighting us, because for some reason our mind does not want what's best for us. It's a liar. It wants to discourage us, tell us how shitty we are, make us feel not confident. That's our own mind doing that. And but the spirit is through DMT, and it's here to say you are okay, and you are loved, and you're everything. You are God. So yeah, fear is normal, but you can overcome it, because I did, and I was scared of them all. I've never seen somebody so scared as I was to hit this stuff. And now look at me 2 years later, and I have a healthy respect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say I'm just willy-nilly with it, because I'm not. I'm a little, I'm a little tense about it right now, because I know I'm fixing to do it. But it's called being a man, and it's called following through, and it's called honoring God. I was told to take DMT, so by being afraid, I was kind of telling God that I didn't trust him, But then I had to work to that. That's what these things help you do, is to work through those critical thinking errors that we're full of. So, yeah. So I'm going to take me a few hits right here, and then see what happens. Appreciate every one of y'all. That was a good hit right there.